hate and anger that had been evolving over the
yes,
years.
and sometimes we must cut the parents. We must cut everything in the beginning. I mean, the good thing and the bad thing, in order to make after if we have if we are a bit quiet, we can make the separation, what we keep and what we don't keep, But in many countries, in many people, and many parts of that planet, the sons or the daughters are like spiritual clones
Of their parents.
of the parents,
No
for
evolution. They
for
just
the best
continue.
and the worst, and they are proud of that, and they, it's like concrete, inside. And if you watch carefully in Occident, it's completely different. Since maybe 3 generations, each generation cut in a drastic way with the parents, in the way they wear the clothes, and the way they eat, and the way they speak, It's incredible. It's a mutation, social mutation.
But isn't
it kill you that you're basically, the authoritarian figure now? You broke away in '68 to break authority, and now you're the authoritarian figure, and you have to, fight. You have to basically
I have a
tell
son.
your son what to do.
I have a son of 18 and a daughter of 21, and I was in that generation of where authority is synonymous of stupidity, and so my son has to deal now with a father with no authority, but I'm very present. My relation with my son exists. I'm not passive or I'm
inactive?
Inactive.
You're participating with him.
Yes, but I'm not like somebody who
You must do this.
throw
You must do that.
a vision of life.
Yes.
He has to do his own, and it's in a way.
Except Helen, Jean's daughter, Jean is very into good living habits. No smoking, and and eating properly. And when his daughter was 16 and she went back to live in France while Jean was living in Los Angeles, he was very upset because she started to smoke, and her reasoning was, well, just because you tell me it's bad doesn't mean that it's bad. You found out it was bad on your own because Jean was a smoker and stopped, and now her rebellion was smoking to prove that she could do it, even though
How do
he
you
didn't.
feel about that rebellion? Is it?
I thought, it was a kind of problem for me. Why is she doing that? And my first thought about that is I trust her. I think if she has to do it, she has to do it, because I did it. By I cannot make an interdiction in her life, but in the same times, I have the right not to approve what she does.
Without telling her what she has to do, you still have the right to make the
No,
judgment and
I
pass that on.
I don't make any judgment, but when she smokes, I act with her the same way I act with everybody smoking beside me. Your smoke is disgusting. Stop that, please.
So remember that when you're standing in the signature line. No smoking.
And so I treat her with respect. I respect her. So, and the best way for me to respect her is not to approve everything she does. Okay, this is my way. And this is my personal story. I'm sorry.
No, that's very interesting. Let's go ahead and throw it out to the group here. I haven't had a chance to do that yet. Are there any questions that anybody is dying to ask Jean Giraud Moebius?
I've got about 1 billion, but I'll ask one that
Go
comes to
ahead.
mind. Your work sometimes deals with sort of a stranger in a strange land type atmosphere, sometimes the stories. I'm curious to know how you felt when you came to the States the very first time, and I believe it was in the 60s,
Yeah.
and also the first time you went to the Soviet Union, which was recent.
89.
Yes. What were your first impressions and how did it affect your work, if any?
You know, my impression, I don't know if it's very important. I'm like comment on dit un somnambule?
A sleepwalker.
I'm a sleepwalker all the time, and she knows me very well. And Jean-Marc knows
She
me.
referred to you as Professor Calculus from Tintin earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
He even looks like him, don't you think? By the way, I'm Randy Lofficier, and that's my husband Jean-Marc, and together with Jean, we're Star Watcher, and we do all of the translations for him, so we know him very well, better than he knows
and,
himself, I think.
And I try to do my best in that strange universe, you know, and, with planes and car and bicycles. And, but what affects my work is more. Sometimes it can be a book or a music or a personal. It can be a personal event in the way I love people, you know, with my wife or with a girl I meet or with my children or with a good friend, a problem with people I love, or maybe a bird. You know, I walk into the park, and in that park I had the best event I had in my whole trip, because I saw in the ground a black bird dead. It was dead, maybe since a few hours, and he was like that, you know, like a piece of matter, black,
just black,
brilliant,
dead.
yes, and dead. So I took it in my hand and I put it in a stone and I started to draw it. And I was suddenly in a situation, you know, I was in Dallas drawing a black bird dead. Do you imagine that?
Do you?
And this was important. That can affect my work and my life, maybe. Not the trip and not what I think of the whole thing, but because of that blackbird came to me, you know,
Was
that way.
Do you know in the and I'm sure you must know this, the Parsifal, the myth or the story of Parsifal, you know that sequence where he walks out and sees the dead bird lying on the snow and the red blood coming out from the bird and thinks of his true love, and that's one of the most beautiful sequences in all the old romance ones. You're reciting that story reminded me of that that moment in a fairly realistic description that is just so shot through with the spirituality,
yes, because
the enlargement of reality.
That moment had power.
Yes.
So that thing, only the power of that energy can be. You know, that bird for anybody else it's nothing else than a bird dead. You know. It doesn't care. We say, it's disgusting, you know. But for me, it was that power. You know. I don't know. It's kind of magic. I can't explain.
Good. That's, yeah. I have one more question.
Asked. You talked about the romance of the American West and of the American Indian. Why, although there are many parallels between the tribal American Aborigines and, say, the tribal Africans, why is it that we seem to have grasped this romance about the American Indian and yet have not grasped the same kind of romance about the African tribes? Although we can see in, for instance, the movie Shaka Zulu, that there was somewhat of that same romance in their culture as well.
It's a good question. I think the Earth is a planet, but it's a being, it's alive, and there are consciousness. And is living a long life through our standards. But for a planet, it's a normal life, you know, and we are for that planet we are, I don't know what.